Pep's at Man City, that reeks of a 2-3 year contract for Messi.
Hello there, welcome along to another edition of Shootout on DAZN, where we debate soccer's biggest stories with the one and only, as usual, Greg Brady in Toronto. How are you doing, Greg?
Great to get all those matches under our belt. We didn't know when we'd see Champions League football. Not too long a break. I know some Real Madrid fans here in Toronto and across Canada concerned so far, Steve. I put in quotes, concern. And I thought they played great. That's just football sometimes. The better team doesn't win all the matches. What did you think of Real Madrid?
Who was it on Shootout who said they get to the final again? Just remind me.
Oh, yeah. You're talking to him. I'm not sweating it yet. I'm not... Little beta sweat. That's the perspiration from the room. That's not Real Madrid sweat. That's nothing. I'm stressed. I don't think Paris Saint-Germain fans are sweating it out just yet, are they? I mean, these are two giants. They're both down a little bit, but look who they had to play out of the gate. Tough teams.
Yeah, tough team. Shakhtar Donetsk, one of Europe's mighty names. But listen, we're only into match day one. There's a long way to go to Istanbul in the Champions League. And on the subject of the Champions League, first up this week on Shootout, will Messi and Ronaldo win another Champions League trophy? Two of the greatest players we've seen on the planet. But are they on the wane, Greg?
I mean, their best football's behind them, but there's a lot of time left. There's a lot of runway left. And I could easily see, Steve, one of them winning the title while not being the best player at their particular club. So that may not happen this year. And you know what I feel about Messi's longevity at Barcelona. So I think one of them's going to grab another Champions League. And obviously it'd be the sixth if it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Pretty massive stuff. What do you say?
You're not going to tell me which one's going to grab it then before I answer?
Not yet.
No. Okay. Listen, I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is in the fact that both of their clubs at the moment are going through something of a rebuild, something of a reboot, something of a particular era where they're not used to it in recent seasons. And I can hear Italian fans screaming, going, well, Juventus have just won 9 league titles in a row. Of course they have. And Andrea Pirlo is a legend and a double-time Champions League winner as a player. But it's his first gig. But they're trying to get the team younger. They've got youth into it. They haven't got a great deal of depth. They've got Chiellini on the way, Bonucci at 33, 42-year-old Buffon still on the bench. I don't see Juve being a giant, even with Ronaldo to get there. And Barcelona the same under Ronald Koeman, all the in-house fighting. We had the great debate, Greg, on Shootout, whether Messi would stay, whether he'd go. He looks reluctant to be there. Looks like there's a bit of a dressing room split as well. Koeman didn't quite get the players that he wanted in the transfer deadline. I can't see Barcelona being there at the end of this season. I can't honestly see either of them lifting that giant trophy, though, Greg. So tell me, which one's going to do it again?
Well, I think it's more the idea of Messi, but I think you laid it out. It's the idea of him being somewhere else, and he's going to have the pick of the litter as far as clubs go. We know that. We know how heavy and hot those Man City rumors were in the summer. He plays for Pep Guardiola there, assuming, I know you've got some skepticism about Guardiola still being there if they have maybe another Champions League flub, but let's say Guardiola's there. That's a massive incentive for a 35-and-a-half-year-old Lionel Messi to go there.
Let's say he isn't. Messi's not going to go to City if Pep's not there, is he?
No, I'd look at him more maybe at an Inter Milan. Maybe Inter step up with the cash. He still thirsts for victory, thirsts for championships, and you get a taste of that so early on in Messi's career. What are we talking about? 19 professional years that he's been there now. I still look and say he's going to want it, but he's also going to look around, as you noted, the infrastructure of Barcelona, little bit of chop and change here, and he didn't want to be there in the summer. I mean, how do we know that? Why? His own words, his dad's own words as his agent. I mean, I'm growing more confident that Barcelona's just going to look for a proper goodbye next year, but that's just it. If Pep's at Man City, that reeks of a 2-3 year contract for Messi to give it a test drive, see what it's like playing at the Etihad for his old manager, playing alongside Kevin De Bruyne in his prime. But Inter Milan, I wouldn't rule out.
Okay, so it's Messi to win it again for you somewhere else other than Barcelona. But I just can't see either of them having that influence, even, and I don't see it, and you know that, I don't see an Inter Milan for Lionel Messi. But even if he did go there, I don't see this fairy tale of him lifting a Champions League with an Inter Milan. I don't think the influence is that strong, Greg, anymore.
Yeah, look, a lot has to break Inter Milan's way, but he probably needs more help there than what's already there. And as for Juventus this season, it's asking a lot. It's asking a lot now of Juventus to do just what you did, especially because it looks like they've got a more domestic Serie A title than maybe they've had in the last few years. They're not going to be able to cakewalk and win Serie A with ease this year. I don't think anyone thinks that.
Juve at home to Barcelona next week in the Champions League, of course, only here on DAZN. Next up on Shootout, this question: can Liverpool still win the Premier League without Virgil van Dijk? Looks a serious knee injury. Looks like the season could be over for the big Dutchman. So, can Liverpool still be victorious without him, Greg?
Well, I didn't tip Liverpool to begin with to win the title. I will say no, they won't win the title, but I'm not sure the chances are devastated. There's still an opportunity, but I don't think they'll get it. You?
No, I backed them from the start, didn't I? When you went for Manchester City. And obviously I was very confident with a fully fit Virgil van Dijk. We also had the other debate on Shootout about who the most important player is. And obviously when you push me, Greg, as you love to do, I actually said Alisson, the goalkeeper. So I'm also going to stick to my guns there and say that he's the most crucial component, marginally ahead of Virgil van Dijk. And I mentioned that Aston Villa game that Virgil van Dijk looked a pale shadow of his former self because he didn't have the confidence of that guy behind him. So if he can stay injury-free for the rest of the season, and that squad that won the league, that has been added to with Thiago, then I think they can overcome Virgil van Dijk's injury. I think Joe Gomez will step up to the plate. Until recently, England's first-choice centre-back. It isn't going to be easy. It is going to be very tight. They're not going to win it by 18, 16 points again. But yes, Greg, I do think Liverpool can still win the Premier League without Virgil van Dijk.
Again, I see Man City as the eventual champions. I'd bring up also City getting Laporte back, Steve. You watched City play without him last year. 23 of 38 Premier League matches last season, they didn't have him. And the results showed it. And every time they couldn't afford to give up points to try and catch Liverpool, seems like at times they did. But again, bigger picture tells you how hard it is to repeat. And there's only a few squads that have done it. And the squads are well documented. All those Man United glory teams with Beckham and Keane and Scholes and Giggs in midfield. The Chelsea teams in 2004, 2005 that Steve could put out a second team, a second 11, and probably finish top 5, top 6 in the Premier League. So it's really, really difficult. But I think Liverpool is going to be in the chase. I still think it's going to be a close title race without Virgil van Dijk. So I don't think their chances are sewered just because of this one injury, but they can't afford too many more. That's for sure.
You mentioned Laporte there. The only thing I'd say is that he probably was more important to City last season, and people will be screaming at the screen now saying, what are you talking about? By that, I mean, such were City's defensive frailties that Laporte really did hold everything together. And you're right, those statistics back it up when he wasn't there. Van Dijk is huge. He's an immense figure. He's the rock pin back there, but City didn't have Robertson playing. They didn't have Alexander-Arnold playing. They didn't really have a Joe Gomez playing. They didn't have a Fabinho. Well, they did. They had Fernandinho, who went and played centre-half, who got through the season. No one was saying what an outstanding centre-back he was, like they have been with Fabinho. So I think Liverpool will cope better without Van Dijk because of the other good defenders, the structure they've got there. I think you might get a siege mentality from Liverpool, as well as the determination to retain the league of doing it for Virgil van Dijk. And of course, in the Premier League, we will see how Liverpool cope without Virgil van Dijk. First off, they're at home to Sheffield United this weekend. Before that, on DAZN, huge games coming your way on Saturday, including Chelsea against Manchester United. Ryan Giggs and Michael Owen will be with me in the studio for that one. Catch us this weekend on DAZN. Next up on Shootout, will Zlatan Ibrahimovic lead AC Milan to the Scudetto? The big man's still going strong, of course, Greg. He had a huge influence in that Milan derby win. What do you think? Can he go all the way?
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. So I'll say yes, that's something of hopeful thinking and seeing somebody knock Juventus off. But I'd love to see somebody push them. And we talked about Inter doing it at the start of the year. But what a statement by AC Milan stepping up. Zlatan scoring both those goals. saying not only is Romelu Lukaku not the king of Milan, but that Zlatan is the god of Milan. God trumps king in Zlatan's world. And remember, it's Zlatan's world. We're all just living in it. So I'm going to say yes. What do you say?
I'd say it's possible, but you asked me in terms of Juventus right at the start of Shootout, and as you know, I am not one to sort of shamefully change my mind. So my colours were very, very firmly nailed to the mast on the other side of the great Italian city. So I'm sticking with Antonio Conte and Inter because I do think he's a born winner. Now he's had the year to settle in, got them to the Europa League final. Was he going to stay? Was he going to go? He seems a little bit more settled, clear the air with the owners. That was a blow, obviously, losing the derby. He knows that. And Zlatan is the man. But he doesn't look, obviously, the legs aren't what they used to be, but the body, the physique doesn't look too much different from when he was starting out and scoring all those spectacular goals. And to do it in the derby for Milan, of course, it's got the romantics around the world, us two included, talking about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I think it's going to be fascinating in Italy, Greg.
Well, I love the story so far. Being 39 years old, coming back to AC Milan after 8 years away, and look at the travels. Playing for Man United, winning a Europa League, coming over here, getting to see him in person has been a real treat. I will tell you, one of the best goals I've ever seen in person was at Euro 2004. He scores against Italy in a match in Porto. I'm there in 2004, the summer I got married. I think we might have thought, Steve, that coming back to AC Milan, a little bit of a retirement tour, right? It's that band that get back together, but they have no new songs, and they have really nothing to say from the stage, but they make you feel good. This is more than that. This is a lot more than that when he scores 2 goals against Inter Milan. And, you know, Lukaku's got his own influence on Inter, but I like the idea of a rivalry. I like the war of words. But yeah, I definitely look at AC Milan and think no one thought they'd be contenders. Juventus is the squad they chase. But four wins in 4 matches so far, you can't complain. And we're already seeing reports Zlatan wants to sign another year and play into his 40s with AC Milan. So it's a great story.
It is. And just to add to the romance, the revelation on Shootout, we got married in the same year, 2004. And remember, we remember it because it was Euro 2004 and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. I love it. But yes, but I would say it's only 4 games in. It is a derby. It is fantastic. It's wonderful headlines for you and I to talk about. It is only 4 games in. I think just Inter, but AC being up there is fantastic. You can follow all the Italian football in Serie A, as well as the Premier League, as well as the NFL, right here on DAZN.